had some conversations lately with people in my circle, and I got a little concerned. Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel, we're talking about credit cards, points, finances, and travel. If this is something that interests you, please like this video, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. So lately I had some conversations with people at work and also my personal friends, and I realized that things that people that watch this kind of channels are not really aware of, or they're not thinking this way. See, making, saving, investing money is a mentality more than anything else. I see people all the time not thinking about how many subscriptions they have, how much money they spend on little things like Starbucks, how a vacation might throw them out of their normal payment schedule, and how that might accumulate debt, and what kind of impact that debt or that kind of spending might have long term. One of my favorite games when I was a teenager really was to calculate how much money could I potentially have in the future if I was saving, investing, and using that compound interest that is really working magic. So I wanted to do something different a little bit. Now I'm gonna do it in the context of credit cards because I have many conversations with people and they think that because they see me traveling and doing some really nice things, that is I get a lot of money from credit cards. I disclosed that before in this channel, and I said that on average I've been making about $5,000. $5,000 travel worthiness, right? That's after paying the annual fees, after paying everything. So about $5,000, but $5,000 is not little money, especially when you see it in the context of many years and what would happen if you really saved that kind of money and invested, and what kind of impact that might have in the future, but also little habits. As I mentioned before in previous videos, I think the channel was about half the size that it's now. I make my own coffee, I make my own food, and I know that many of you guys are really enjoying going out in restaurants often, and the problem is that many of these don't actually apply to the average viewer of this channel or channels of this kind, because obviously to be here you're thinking in a certain way, or you want to be thinking in a certain way. But it's crazy to me to see how people don't think how all these add up and what kind of impact they might have. A coffee that costs $3 now might cost you $1,000 30 years from now. So one of my favorite tools is to use compound calculators. It's crazy to see the potential that you have by not spending that money and investing. So let's see what kind of returns we can get if we, instead of spending on Starbucks or other little things, we invest this money. So for the first example, we're gonna take $800. You might say, why $800? That's very specific. It's $800 because this is the kind of sign-up bonus that the City Premier gives you right now. If you don't use that to transfer to travel partners and you use this to invest it, this is what would you get basically. So $800, assuming that you have a monthly contribution of $100 a month for the 30 years, look what's happening. Look at all the magic working for you. For this, we're only going to do a 7% return annually. So we see that we're looking at $120,000 almost. Now you might say, why is this important? Because if you were to save $100 for a year, you would have $1,200 times 30. You would get $36,000 plus the original $800 investment. So you would have $36,800 instead of $120,000. If you subtract what you would get with a compound instead of what you would get by just saving, you see that the difference between the two is $80,000 to almost $83,000. We're talking crazy things what time can do. And keep in mind, this is very conservative. This is only at 7%. But you might say you don't have $800. You can get this kind of credit card and you don't make that much. Okay, so we're gonna go with $100 original contribution. We're gonna continue having $100 monthly contribution. And we're gonna do for 30 years at 7%. And we see that you're gonna have $114,000. $114,000. Now, comparing what you would get as in the end of the 30-year period, compounding, instead of saving, it's $78,000 difference. And look something else here. Look the difference between putting $800 at first instead of putting $100 at first. So there's $700 difference here. That $700 that you didn't put at first, look how much it's gonna cost you. You would get $4,629. Now we're gonna subtract the $700 out of this amount, and you will see that the $700 that you didn't invest at first 30 years ago is gonna cost you $3,929. That's with today's money. So you will pay basically, almost $4,000 for that $700. Now let's say you see this a little more seriously. You start seeing the light, you can save a little more, and you do get that Premier card. You get the $800. You say instead of putting $100 a month, I'm gonna put $200 a month. The average growth in the stock market is about 10%, so 7% was very, very bad, but the average historically is about 10%. So that would give you $408,000. $408,000 by just investing $800 at first and $200 every month after. So almost $500,000. We're getting there. What's the difference now between saving and investing? If you were to save this kind of money, you would get $2,400 a year times 30. It would be $72,000 plus the original $800, so $72,800. And if we subtract this to the $408,000, if you were to save that money instead of investing it, you would lose $36,000. That's a whole house. But I want to see what's gonna take to get up to $1 million, because that seems to be the magic number for many people. And let's see if you can ever become a millionaire and what would that take. So 30 years, we're looking at $1,000 initial investment. We're looking at $300 monthly contribution for 30 years at 10%. We are at $609,000. That's not gonna do it. Let's see how much we need to get to $1 million. We're gonna change that and we're gonna go to $400 a month, and let's see what happens then. At $400 a month, we're gonna get $807,000. Getting there, let's see, 500. So 1,000 initial investment, $500 a month for 30 years is gonna give you $1 million. So now you might say, $500, I don't have it. Most likely you do. If you live in this country, you probably do have $500. Check your subscriptions. Check what you're getting every month, the little money here and there that you spend. Check how many times you go out, how many times you eat out, how many vacations, fancy vacations you might have, and check how much money you could potentially save through credit cards. I said before, about $5,000 a year. Now, if I'm correct with my math here, $500 a month is $6,000. So 5,000 of that, I only need 1,000 if you play the credit card game the way I play it. So 6,000 I need every year. I make about 5,000 through credit cards every year, so I only need to come up with $1,000. This is the power of compounding. How important it is to have all the time working for you and start as early as possible. Let's see what happens if I wanted to get to that point, to $1 million in 20 years instead of 30. We are at only $350,000. So we only cut about 1/3 of the time, and now we are 2/3 the way there. So we only took 1/3 of the time invested, and we took out 2/3 of the profits. So let's see what needs to happen now for 20 years until we get to that 1 million mark. How much more money do we really need to invest on top of that to make it for the time lost 10 years. We're gonna add $1,000 a month, double what we did before. Remember, we only cut 1/3, and we are at less than $700,000. Less than $700,000. We're gonna go to $1,500. Let's see what happens at $1,500. And at $1,500, we're gonna get to that 1 million mark. So for the 1/3 of the time we took, we need to triple the effort financially to make up for what we lost. This is how important it is to start early. I honestly couldn't take advantage of my company's 401k, for example, because I did the mistake to have a lot of credit card debt at the beginning. So although they were offering 50% match up to 6% of my salary, I wasn't able to do that because I needed every penny. I started, luckily, over a year ago at this point, about a year ago at this point. I get 50% from the company, so immediately it's 50% extra. So let's say for 100,000, that's $6,000 that I contribute, and they pay me another $3,000 just for contributing to my 401k. Plus I'm getting tax deduction because I'm contributing to the 401k. So now I have a little more money to play, and that is also growing at a 10% rate historically. So this is the power of compounding. But that's all for today, guys. I know this video is not for everyone. I know it's out of our scope, but at the same time, I think it's very important because I like to take issues that I see around me. And I was really shocked to see how little many people know about basic finances. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, ciao.